What is up, everybody? Welcome back here to the Debbie Royale YouTube channel. Now, we usually do college football, but we also do Dynasty and fantasy football as well. We're going to be diving into a Dynasty video today, talking about 4 players, one at each position that you can go buy right now in your Dynasty leagues before the season starts. So we're going to be looking at 12-team Superflex PPR. We're going to be looking at real trades that have happened. We're going to be looking at player values as of now and trying to give you guys context for why you should be out there and going and targeting these guys in your Dynasty league. So hit that like and subscribe button while the intro is going, and we'll dive into players on the other side. All right, so let's get into the buys. Again, we're going to go one at each position, and we're going to start off at quarterback. We're going to go Dak Prescott. And I know I'm being called a homer a little bit because I am a Cowboy fan, but in Superflex, he just feels like he is that guy. Like, he feels like he's that value right now out there. I know he's 30. People are kind of set down on him because of the interceptions last year, but I do think he's a value. So let's look at where he's getting valued right now. Now, Dynasty rank, this is from Keep Trade Cut. This is from other sources out there. He's anywhere between 12 and 16. Football Guys, where I work, he's at QB, I think 13 right now in Dynasty, 16. So he's still getting valued in that area, right? As far as where his Dynasty ADP is, second round QB 13 at the end of August. That's kind of where his ADP was at. Possible ceiling, he's a low-end quarterback 1, though, right? So he's still getting valued under what he could finish at. And when we're talking about that, he was QB2 in 2019. We understand, though, that was a long time ago. He did throw out, NFL high 15 receptions last year. He did have a lowest EPA, but I do think that when you're looking at what he did, again, he was injured last year. We saw that. He did have, I think he can rush for more touchdowns this year. They built offense around him. So we're thinking of Gallup and Cooks, and they brought CeeDee Lamb in, and they didn't bring anybody behind Tony Pollard. And they're going to use Tony Pollard in the passing game as well. But I do think they're going to lean on Dak. I do think that we're going to see the usage there, and I think he can be efficient, right? I'm not talking about a top 8 guy. I don't think he'll ever go back to that. But I do think on a value-wise, you could go get him for a pretty fine value. When we're talking about trades that have recently happened for him that I like, right? Remember, these are super flex trades. Dak Prescott and Tyler Higbee for George Kittle and Jimmy G. That's ridiculous. If I can get Dak Prescott for those 2 pieces, I'm going to go do it. George Kittle, again, he just can't stay healthy. Jimmy G, we don't know what that's going to look like. You could still get Dak, right, and have Dak as your QB2 on your Superflex rosters, assuming you have a top 10 guy. That's pretty good value. If Dak is your QB2, so, again, I think one of the things misnomers for Dak was you were drafting him as your QB1, which can be tough, right? If you're drafting him as your QB1, that really limits your ceiling for your fantasy team. But now he's a QB2. He's getting valued as such. So I think it changes the narrative about him. When you look at this next deal, Dak Prescott for Will Levis, DJ Moore in 2024 second. All aboard the Dak Prescott train there. I like Moore, but that's the best piece. Dak's the best piece in that deal, and Moore is the second best piece. But again, you're looking at that as like, hey, wide receiver 2, 24 second, what could that be? And Will Levis, again, he was struggling getting past Malik Willis in that depth chart. Dak Prescott for Jacobs in the 24 first. I think this is the one that's the closest. You could probably go either way on this, depending where that first is at. But again, I don't like buying Josh Jacobs at this point in his career with that running back position getting devalued, right? So I just wanted to show you a full details and trades for these guys that maybe you like the other side, right? That's what this channel is for. It's about context. Now, next guy at the running back position I like is Khalil Herbert. Now, I wrote an entire spotlight on him for Football Guys, kind of talked about the backfield there. I think Herbert is getting severely undervalued right now. When you look at his dynasty rank, it's running back 35. He's getting drafted as running back 33 in redraft, right? So when we're thinking of where that's at, if you look at his ADP in dynasty, running back 37 is where he's going. But when you think about it and you look at where he's at, he's getting in his 3rd season in NFL. He's the running back 1 in this team. I know Deonta Foreman is there. Roschon Johnson is probably going to be the running back 2 at some point. But for this year and most likely next year, you're looking at Herbert being there, right? He led the entire NFL in yards per attempt last season with 5.67. He had 3.67 yards after contact. He is solid, right? He's not going to be a great pass blocker. We know that. He's not necessarily going to be the greatest receiver in the world, but they are using him a little bit differently. They talked about that. But I don't think, like, when you're looking at where he's getting drafted and what his ceiling can be, like, he could be a very solid running back 20 and getting him at running back 3 prices, right? So that's where you're trying to manipulate the market a little bit. And you're taking advantage of, like, the Roschon Johnson truthers out there that think Roschon's just going to take over, where I think Herbert's going to have a solid role in this offense. Some deals for him. And again, you might not like some of these, but that's why I show them. Khalil Herbert for Rashad Bateman. I think people really do believe in Rashad Bateman. They like Rashad Bateman. So maybe, for trading a wide receiver for running back in Dynasty is blasphemy now. They don't like that. But there is value to be had on both sides. If you need that running back too and you feel comfortable there, Rashad's your wide receiver 5. Okay, I understand that. Khalil Herbert for a second. That's where his value's at. So if you want to take a shot on this, if you're a contender, it's a late second and you're going to throw it at Khalil Herbert, I don't think it's the worst move in the world. And I do think that he can provide you solid production throughout the season, health notwithstanding, right? Then Khalil Herbert and Christian Watson for Ayuk in a third. I love Brandon Ayuk. I think Brandon Ayuk is a special talent. Christian Watson and Herbert for Ayuk in a third is a very appropriate value, right? And if you are a big believer in Christian Watson, which I am not a huge believer in him, but if you are out there and you can get Herbert on top of that for Brandon Ayuk, I don't hate that. The third is a throw in there. So I definitely wanted to show you this deal because I think it's a fun little deal here, especially if you're a Watson guy. Now, the wide receiver position, I'm just going to keep narrowing down this train. Christian Kirk is a value. Christian Kirk is a value. Christian Kirk is a value right now, especially when you're looking at his ADP. I just think that with Kirk, and you saw last year, he was wide receiver 18 in points per game. He had a 23% target share. When you're looking at him too, he was an elite slot receiver too last year. His receiving grade from PFF was 76.7%. You saw that target volume go there. Now, we understand that Calvin Ridley is going, but the discrepancy in ADP between both these guys, I think, is absurd. Calvin Ridley is pushing up into the top 12 ADP range, in that 12 to 18 range in there. I think Kirk should be right there too. When you're looking at his dynasty rank, it's wide receiver 32. His dynasty ADP is wide receiver 37 right now. And that's pretty disrespectful for a guy that's going to be playing in this offense with Trevor Lawrence. Everybody wants a piece of this offense, and they talk about Trevor Lawrence ascending this year, but I think they're forgetting about Kirk. I think Ridley is a very solid piece. I think he's going to be very good. I think Ridley is good. But Kirk, he'd be my pick to finish above ADP. Right. So I think he could be a very solid wide receiver 2 like he was last year, that wide receiver 18 to 22 range. I still think he's going to be a target hog. Right. And so when you're looking at wide receivers, especially in the PPR formats, we are looking for target hogs. Christian Kirk can be a target hog in this offense, and I still think he's a value. When you're looking at deals that have happened for him, Kirk a third for Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks truthers aren't going to like that. But maybe you have Kirk in a third and you like Treylon Burks and you want to go grab him. That's why I show you both these sides. I still think Kirk tied to this quarterback is a better play there. I try to get a second, though, if I was getting rid of Burks. I don't think I would try to get a third. Christian Kirk for James Conner and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Smash Kirk all day for that. I don't want anything to do with that Arizona offense. DPJ looks like he's on his way out. Give me Kirk, again, 26 years old, tied to Trevor Lawrence. And then Christian Kirk for Jahan Dotson in a fourth. I know a lot of people think Jahan Dotson is going to take that next step. But again, when you're looking at offenses and who is running these offenses and these coaching staff, we know what Kirk's going to have. Kirk's going to have he has a solid coaching staff, solid quarterback. Jahan doesn't, right? So when we're thinking of Jahan, that's questionable mark. And when you're looking at Dynasty with these wide receivers in these same kind of tiers, I always kind of put like, hey, talent, yes, but also situation is important and context is important for these guys. Now, the last guy tight end, this is just a stash. Daniel Bellinger. I thought Daniel Bellinger was coming in, was going to be kind of that guy. Last year, he did show that he had it. 30 catches, 268 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It looked like he was going to take that next step. And then they got Darren Waller, right? I understand that Darren Waller could be very good this year, but I still think Bellinger plays a role because Waller's, recent injury history. If he steps in there, he could maybe be that guy that you kind of just stash on your roster right now. Right now, his dynasty rank's tight end 29. He's getting drafted as tight end 35. I do think he has tight end 2 ceiling, but that's like everybody in that range because if they score a touchdown, they're going to have tight end 2 ceiling if we're being honest. But let's just take a look at the deals that you can get for him. Daniel Bellinger and Sam Darnold for Kyle Trask. If you don't believe it, if you can get rid of Kyle Trask for pretty much anything at this point and get Sam Darnold, who's QB2 now in San Francisco, and Daniel Bellinger, you could do that, right? These are all trades that have happened within the last week as well, just to provide you context there. Daniel Bellinger, Aiden O'Connell, the great hope over there in Las Vegas for Calvin Austin, right? So if you like Calvin, maybe you throw him in there, but I mean that pecking order with that depth chart, and then Daniel Bellinger for a third. So again, this is one of those things you take a shot on him for a third. Maybe you have an extra third. You need that tight end depth. You think, hey, maybe he'll take over. He's 22, could be in a really good offense with, maybe Daniel Jones takes that next step again. And you like him, right? If you like Waller in this offense, you should like Bellinger as kind of a stash. And if you have Waller, I don't hate actually capping and going and getting a third for Bellinger and have that backup, right? And essentially you have their handcuff in this situation. So those are my favorite plays there in terms of Dynasty right now, right before the season starts. If you've enjoyed this channel this whole offseason, please hit that like and subscribe button. We're trying to help you out. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Would you guys take those deals? Who do you think is a buy or sell for you? Until next time, I'll see you guys later.